What's going on, guys? We are going to continue the playing lesson series, but we are going to change it up a little bit. We have one of my good friends, Elliot. He's a 5.5 handicap, so what we're going to do is play 2-ball, worst ball to get ourselves into some different situations. So I'm going to play the black tees, he's going to go up and play the blue tees. We're each going to tee off, take the worst one from there, and then continue that until it is holed. I'm not going to do it for putts. Once it's holed, but for the shots, we will do it just to try to see what different situations we can get ourselves into. 460-yard par 4, dogleg to the left. There's water that runs up this left side, and then trees that are marked as hazard that run the entire length of the hole on the right side. So from the black tees, it's a no-brainer driver for me. I cannot really get through this fairway unless the wind is perfectly down, which it's really not. It's kind of just pushing out of the left today. So with this wind, I'm going to aim pretty much down the left center of this fairway, expecting the wind to push it back to the right. Not a whole lot of decision making to make from here. Typically when there's water on the left, I'll come over to this left side of the tee box, but with the tree here, can only go but so far. Also have to aim left with where this wind is. So going to tee up more on the right side to avoid that tree, aim left center of the fairway and let the wind bring this thing back. Should be pretty good there, maybe just right half of the fairway, probably leave around 160 yards in or so. So Elliot has some more decision making here. So when we are looking at these trees through the fairway, if you were to go straight through, it's going to be closer to about 280, 290 yards. If you hit one good, I'm assuming you can get there with a little bit of wind helping. Yeah. So again, the water is on the left here, but he doesn't have a tree in the way. So what are you thinking when you get up to a tee shot like this?
So normally I'd like to hit 3-wood just to we can run out of room fast on the right side, but I do tend to have a little pole miss with my 3-wood. So here my driver, pretty much know I'm going to hit a cut majority of the time. So I usually like to aim just left of the 150 and work a little cut in there.
Cool, I love it. What's side of tee box wise, what are you thinking?
I'm going left, just aim away from the water and then just let it kind of trickle over to the right there.
Yeah, perfect. So the one thing I would not do here is see you have a dog leg left, pull driver and start trying to curve driver around this, because when you start trying to shape driver, snap hook, if you're a right-handed player trying to hit a draw, snap hook comes into play very quickly. So that is where I don't want you trying to draw it towards the water, but that's where 3-wood would be the play there if you are trying to draw it. But if you hit a fade with the driver, take it, kind of play your stock shot, but don't all of a sudden try to start shaping it and hook it around the corner. So I love playing the stock shot here. One in the middle of the fairway, no pressure. That's perfect. Yeah, good ball, dude. We're playing mine, 164 yards left. Pin is dead center of this green, so there really is not a whole lot of trouble here. That bunker short left, or kind of middle left of the green, is priority number 1. That's what we have to miss. And then long over this green is dead, so that is going to be the other spot that we have to miss. So pretty much playing just short right of this pin is kind of the aiming point. So I have a ball that is up above my feet, and when there is a ball up above the feet, usually that is going to cause it to overdraw or overhook. Typically, the worse, the shorter the club is, just because of the lie angle. So if I have an 8-iron in my hand, usually going to be a little bit more of a hook or a draw than if I have a 4 or 5-iron in my hand. So 164, what are you kind of thinking for a number?
Thinking I hit my 7, usually like stock 165-ish. And like Bryce said, you don't want to be long here. A little bit of hurt wind, so I don't think this will get to the pin, but like Bryce said, kind of that front right is kind of the spot to be. Green will feed left a little bit too, so if it doesn't pull off the lie as much as we're expecting, it'll still be fine.
Yeah, that's perfect. So with this lie, we know it's going to go left, so going to aim a little bit right. The wind is pushing it this way, but like we said, we don't really want to miss left and mess with that bunker. So going to aim just a little bit right of it, and the slope and the wind should sort of neutralize each other out here. A lot of times I will choke down on these just a little bit more to get that club to sit a little bit flatter. Oh man, that's what we didn't want to do, Elliot.
Oh,
Those might land on top of each other.
really shot off that lie.
Yeah. So we had the right idea, but not the best shot. So we've got a bunker shot coming up here. Definitely not the place to miss here. So we have a longer bunker shot without a ton of green to work with. So because I don't have a lot of green, I am going with the 60. If this pin was on the far side of the green, we'd go with the 54 degree just to allow for a little bit more run out, but also on a little bit of a downslope. So need all the help I can get getting this one up in the air. So I recently did a longer form downslope bunker shot and downhill pitch shot video on here. So if you would like a little bit more information on how to hit these, I would go back and check that out. But the gist of it, going to get this face very open, and really going to make sure I stay down with the slope, not try to lean back and lift this up into the air. That is where I see a lot of players chunk these. So really just going to aim right at this thing and try to get it to land nice and soft. Just over the fringe there, should take one hop and sit somewhat softly. All right, I will take that all day long.
Hit it.
A little chunk and run. Oh my God.
Just like we drew it up.
Yeah, exactly. Couldn't have drawn it up any better. Perfect. So, I mean, that's 2 feet. I'm probably 6 feet, so we'll take mine. Right, between drop kicking a bunker shot, hitting the pin, and pull hooking 2 shots into the bunker, we took an interesting route to get here, but have a look at par. So,
No pictures on the scorecard.
Right. So what do you think? Just half a ball out, right, or so?
Yeah, I was thinking right at just a half a ball, depending on speed.
So like we said, we were just doing the putting until the ball is holed. So if it finds the bottom, then we are good to go. I feel like hitting it softer, it's gonna itch just a little bit to the left, but not gonna give the hole away. All right, it is eventful, but we will take it. So got lucky, bunker shot hit the stick. Well, let's kind of talk through why that did not come out super clean. So sounded like you drop kicked it a little bit, hit like 3 or 4 inches behind it.
Yeah, I was going for a higher, nippier shot and definitely kind of chunked it a little. And
more kind of back in through here, kind of skipped it off, played a chunk and run sort of unintentionally.
Would not have had spin on it and probably would have gone 15, 20 feet past.
So go ahead and set up to one. So I like the open face. I would keep the face just as open, kind of fully filleted open there. I do think the ball position's a little bit forward and the hands are a little bit too far shoved in front. So I want you to move that ball back in the stance about like half a ball width. Yeah, there you go. Don't let those hands shove way out in front of you. Kind of keep them like just in front of the left zipper. Okay. And then really get the center of the chest kind of stacked on top of your front foot. So big thing here from that point is don't fall backwards on it at all. Keep the center of your chest and the weight on that left side. Okay. And then let the hands kind of release through the shot. Let that club head pass the hands.
Okay.
Sounded way better.
Way better contact.
So I would say the big thing there was ball got a little bit too far forward, so it was almost hard for that low point to get up to it. And then that ball, again, was very forward as well. Hard to keep the weight that far forward the entire time to get up to that thing. Naturally, there's going to be a little lean back. So when you are hitting those, don't get them way too far up. Flay that face open. A little bit front of center. Keep the weight on the left side the whole time and stay down through it. Don't get it way up front and reach for it where you're more than likely going to bottom out too soon.
69.
69, nice. So, par 3, 169. This pin is as dead center of the green as it gets, and it's in the back portion. So really not a whole lot to this one. Bunker left, bunker right, don't really want either of those shots. So with the pin, when pushing this out of the left over to the right side, going to aim just a few feet left of this pin, and then I'm between kind of a, this club goes about 185, this one's around 172, 173 max. So not gonna try to chip the longer one back there, gonna take the one that guarantees I'm not going over this green. So like I said, gonna aim just a few feet left of this pin. If you have a more predominant miss where you normally miss left, you can aim a little bit right. If you usually miss right, aim a little bit left to kind of play the miss. But with the wind pushing this direction, going to aim just over to that left side. Be good. All right, right at it. Probably came up 20 feet short, right in line with it. So that won't hurt us at all. How far do you have?
64.
64. All right, what do you think for wind?
Definitely a little left to right.
That wind hurt mine for sure.
Yeah.
So it's left to right and
I feel
two.
like yours came up a little shorter than you thought, so
Six-
I think it's playing 70-ish.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't go over that. And you don't want to be long here. So 64 wind is definitely hurting. Would say play at 70 max. So what clubs are you between?
7 and 8, 7 iron. I have to kind of stripe it to get hit at 170. Usually like a 165 shot. So kind of expecting it to end up on around Bryce's unless I really flush it. It might get back there a little more.
Yeah, I love that. So 70 max shot. Little thin pull. Cover.
Tend to pull it.
Cover. All right, over the bunker. So missed about pin high left here, tricky little shot. So we have a mound here that we have to cover. Green running away from us, it's downwind, it's out of the rough, going to be very hard to spin it. So if we have any chance of getting this to stop, the only way that we can really do it is with height. So this is one that we have to hit a little higher, land a little bit softer if we can't get spin. So when I have shots out of the rough like this, the first thing I'm doing is assessing the lie where it's thicker rough, but it's sitting up fairly nice. So the thing that I will do a lot of times when it's like that is move it up in the stance. It's basically on a tee at this point. So I don't want to move it back in my stance when that ball is teed up and hit way down on this thing, or I'm going to kind of clip it off the top of the face. It's going to come out dead, not really go anywhere. So I'm going to open the face just a little bit, get it up towards the front half of the stance, not way forward, but kind of just in the kind of off that inside of that front heel. Stance slightly narrow, face open, and then the biggest priority is we just have to hit this hard enough to carry. I'd rather hit it a little past than do anything that risks this ball coming up short, staying short of the green. So almost like a bunker shot. So open that face a little bit, up in the stance, keep the weight forward, and then swing fairly hard to make sure that it gets enough, it has enough speed to get up and over. So a little firm, kind of drop kicked it just a tad, so probably 15 feet past. Not a great shot there, but right idea. Wait. Not necessarily the par look we wanted, but not too hard of a shot here. So just going to plug videos left and right. Also did a recent around the green kind of bump and run chipping video that will kind of dive into this shot a little bit more. But biggest thing here, stance is going to be narrow, hands just very slightly forward, chest kind of stays over top of that front foot. So I have a 60 here, so this is one where probably should use a 54, but not walking back to the cart to grab it. But the green is running away, and we have a little bit of carry here, so I don't necessarily hate the higher lofted club in this situation. On a little bit of an upslope, so that should help kind of get this thing to sit just a little softer, but really just trying to pick a landing spot about 5-6 feet over the fringe and let this run out. Do it. All right, gotta look. Nice. All right. Probably like 8 inches further out.
2.
Yeah, very similar putt to the last hole, kind of just inside the massive divot right here. But yeah, not a whole lot to this. Just outside that right edge, if anything, but have to get one of these two to drop to avoid bogey, or to avoid double.
Never doubt.
All right, not the worst thing in the world. Set up like you're about to hit this one again. So that last shot definitely came out a little kind of drop kicky, just kind of sort of like the bunker shot did, honestly. So take your setup and tell me when you feel like you're ready with this one.
Yeah.
Okay, so when you're looking at that, I would say that face is way too square. You need to kind of open that thing, fillet it almost completely open, just like if you had a bunker shot. You can widen the stance just a tiny, tiny bit. Good, and now, yeah, face kind of crept a little closed on you again, even more open. Good, now keep the weight forward, and just like we kind of talked about on the last shot, let the club head sort of pass the hands here. Should come out a little softer and higher. Yeah, contact way better, got up a little bit higher, yeah. Landed way softer. So definitely not as drop kicky. So biggest thing there was face just got way too square. Came up just a little shorter than we would have liked, but that's where it just comes down to realizing how hard you have to swing when you actually get the face that open, but way better contact it. So if we look at this from down the line, face is filleted pretty much completely open, and now keep the speed up. Swing a little bit harder than you did on that last one, a little harder than you think you need to. Right idea. Try one more. I would say somewhere in between those two. So that was a little too firm, and this is where it just takes some reps to kind of get the idea down. Try to give you a similar lie.
Contact feels way better though.
It sounds crispier. So yeah, keep that face open, keep the weight forward, and swing kind of in between those last two. That's the one. Yeah, way better there. So biggest thing was face was just way too square to hit something to try to land it nice and soft. Last hole we're going to play par 4, right around 440 yards. Very hard dogleg to the right, to the left, and we have wind pushing from left to right. So when I have a hole like this, the first thing I want to look at is how far is it to go through the fairway to get into trouble. So the trees straight ahead are marked as hazard. Those are going to be right around 295. That is well within driver range. There's cart path right before it, so if you have any speed at all heading into that cart path, it's gone. So driver is kind of out of my hands, which I don't mind, because when I have a dogleg left like this, kind of like I mentioned on the first hole, this is where I do want to try to shape this one a little bit. Just because the further right I go, I'm going to just start adding yardage. So I want to try to hit something that can sling around this corner, but driver, it's very hard to do that with. So with these trees on the left side, I'm going to come as far over to the right side of this tee box as I can, just because if I come over here, then I'm really just aiming out towards the trouble. Want to give myself as much of an advantage as I can to really get something around. So biggest thing is when you have holes like this, if you're trying to shape it, make sure you shape the shot. Don't kind of chicken out on it and leave it out to the right. If I'm trying to hit a draw, I'd rather overdraw it than block it. So if I get this one overcooking a little bit, that is going to be just fine here. So when I try to hit a draw, maybe move the ball back in the stance just a little bit, close the stance off just a hair, and then kind of swing down the foot line. So that should be perfect. Started it maybe just a little bit further right than I wanted. Isn't going to quite get around the corner, but probably going to be 150, 160 yards out middle of the fairway. So a very similar shot for Elliot, just a little shorter. Hole's playing about 360. So to go straight through the fairway into the trees, it is going to be around 260. So that is kind of the number one thing we have to do, is take a club that's not going 260 yards, a little bit back into the wind, so you can probably call that 270. So I think you're probably fine with 3-wood at that point. Yeah. Then it really comes to, from this angle, how aggressive do you want to be? Do you want to kind of hit a draw around the corner, or go up and over the trees with something with a little more loft? So what are you thinking?
Yeah, I hit it pretty high. So my typical shot here, I just kind of aim right side of the trees. Like Bryce was saying, you can run out of room pretty quick to the right, and it makes it a longer approach coming in. So I kind of aim right side of the trees, usually hit a little cut in there, but hit it high enough to where I'm not really worried about the trees typically.
Yeah, love it. So, and like you said, his typical shot shape is a little bit of a cut. The pole is the miss, so not trying to get too creative and try to have to sling it. Not as much of a kind of forced angle that I had from the back tee. So here you can aim kind of right down that edge, right down the edge of the trees, hit his go-to shot, hit the cut, not get too fancy with it, and hopefully hit a good one. We overcooked it just a hair, but that'll be fine. So really not much of a decision to make for worst ball here. We will take this back one. We're both playing unmarked black forest, so not really sure who is who, but we will take the one that is a little bit further back. So front pin here, kind of front right on this green, we are going to have 150 on the dot, a little bit back into the wind. So when we have a front pin, typically the last place you want to miss is going to be anything short, because now you're going to have a very short-sided chip without a whole lot of green to work with. So I am going to play this closer to around 155 just to try to get past this pin just a little bit. Would rather be 20 feet short than 20 feet long than 10 feet short of this green. So when I'm looking at aiming points, there is a bunker on this left side. This should be the perfect club, because I don't think I can hit this club far enough to get to the bunker, but it's far enough to get to that pin. So really not a whole lot to this. Pin is crept a little bit over to the right, so going to aim about 10-15 feet long of this pin, and probably about 5-6 feet left of this pin. Chunk pulled it a little bit. should be short of that bunker though. Yeah, not a great one there, but caught the left side of the green. Just a little bit of a lazy swing, but overall not too bad.
Kind of right side of the fin and hopefully leak a little cut in there.
I would creep that aim just a little bit more right, just because that's starting to aim pretty much directly at the edge of the bunker.
Okay.
So I would creep it a little bit right, just so if you hit a straight ball, you aren't penalized by it. So bring that aim a little bit over to the middle of the green.
Like that. Pulls.
Sit, stay short of it. So missed just off the left side here, pin high, but short of this bunker, so this was absolutely the place to miss. So pretty straightforward chip shot. Again, for more information on these shots, I have that recent video talking through these. The biggest thing is kind of judging the lie. So this is a very into the grain lie. You can see as I'm going through this green is just kind of sticking straight up in the air. So there are many differing opinions on how to play these shots. For me, the thing that I try to do is, again, try to just feel like the center of the chest stays over in front of this golf ball the entire time. I don't want to do anything that starts leaning me backwards, because as soon as I start to lean back and lower this club into the ground too soon, I'm going to hit this grain and I'm going to duff it and chunk it right in front of me. So I've got the 54 degree here, a little bit of green to work with, really just trying to land this 1 or 2 feet over the fringe, let this thing pop just over it and run down to the hole. So a little bit of a misread, but up there to about 5-6 feet, so not too bad at the end of the day. So that's the exact shot that can happen when you get into the grain, and we will talk a little bit about why that was. So we're close enough, we can putt it now, we're into the safety zone, but that is going to be a good learning lesson. So we'll talk a little bit more about that shot and kind of why that happened and why we can avoid it, because I'm sure Elliot is not alone in experiencing that shot around the green here and there. So go ahead and set up for this one again. Got it. So I would say right before you go, typically, you add a little bit more forward press. You almost get the hands way out in front of you here. So that is one of those things where, personally, like I said, there's different ways you can play these shots. I'm not a huge fan of throwing a ton of bounce underneath of it on these kind of lower chip shots. When they're higher ones, it's different. But I don't want to see the hands get as far forward. Let me swap with you real quick. So a lot of times when you get in here and I'm fine with the ball being back, but as you start to really jam these hands forward, a lot of times I will see players start to almost lean back with the upper body a little bit as those hands go forward, kind of like you were doing with the bunker shots. And that's where I don't want to see, again, hands way out in this direction. It's very hard to get weight forward and hands forward, because then that club is so de-lofted. So that is where players will almost press the hands forward, lean back a little too much. Now as you're leaning back, that's where you contact the ground a little sooner. So keep the narrow stance, keep the weight forward, but just don't shove those hands as far out in front. Keep them just in front of the kind of left side of the zipper. Good. Keep the center of your chest over the left foot the whole time, not as much forward shaft lean. Yeah, way crispier there. So that's the biggest thing. I think you just got those hands way too in front, leans you back, kind of gets that leading edge digging, but overall way better there. Lengthy look for par here, but if there's a silver lining, we at least know kind of from the chip shot, we know that it should be breaking a little left at the hole. So when I have putts from off the green like this, or just long putts in general, if you've looked at videos in the past, you know that I will take a practice stroke kind of looking down, and then just look up and just take some flowy practice strokes, just getting the speed down. A lot of times I'll see players stay looking down the entire time, and they'll be in here taking strokes like this, and they look up and immediately realize that's going to be way too small, or vice versa. So look at the hole for a few strokes can help with that pace. And then when I am off the green like this, especially very grainy lies, say this grain is kind of growing this opposite direction towards the hole. If I get this putter sort of smashed down on the grass and go to bring it back, a lot of times it's going to kind of drag into the grain, and it's very hard to have a smooth stroke. So a lot of times with these, I will elevate the putter ever so slightly just to get it off the grass so it can work back a little bit more smoothly rather than getting snagged on the way through here. Good line, don't know if it's quite enough, but up there in the tap in range. So we will have one more attempt at it and try to have another tap in to clean this up for bogey. Go a little bit. Yeah, not bad speed. It should be a fairly routine one here. Definitely have started taking a little bit more time with these through the years. But not the worst bogey in the world in that format. So again, as always, hope you guys enjoyed this video. Going to keep trying to get more friends and more players involved, try to change up these formats a little bit to hit some different shots. Would love if you guys could subscribe to the page, and as always, any questions, drop them below.